Catch 'em all.
Hey guys, Pokedan here. As we all know, a lot of Pokemon belong to an evolutionary family, but vice versa, a lot of them don't, and that doesn't necessarily mean these Pokemon suck, because honestly, a lot of standalone Pokemon are amazing. They are so good in fact, that I wanted to make a Pokemon Top 10 dedicated to them. So of course, today you join me to count down the top 10 Pokemon that can't evolve. And just remember guys that these Pokemon are just my personal favourites, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Another thing, although most legendaries can't evolve, I've decided not to include any in this video. But with all that being said, let's get started with the list. Compared to a lot of other regions, Alola introduced a lot of standalone Pokemon. Most of them I liked, and the others, well, not so much. However, one Alola Pokemon I love that doesn't evolve is Passimian. This Pokemon is part of its own sort of rivalry with Oranguru. And yes, even though Oranguru may have the advantage in battle, I still prefer Passimian. Honestly, this Pokemon is one that I can see Ash Ketchum capturing in the Alola anime. I really think that it would be cool to see, and it could be like his Hawlucha from X and Y, who, by the way, we may just be hearing more about later in the video. But yeah, I like Passimian. It's really cool and it takes the number 10 spot. Up next is not one Pokemon, but two, and they're both from Johto. It's Corsola and Qwilfish. Every entry on this list I had to think long and hard about, and there were so many standalone Pokemon that I liked, and I just couldn't bring myself not to include one of these Pokemon. So I just simply grouped them both onto one entry, because both of these Johto water types are Pokemon that I really like, but for different reasons. Firstly, I like Qwilfish because in my opinion it has a pretty unique design, and I also feel like it's one Pokemon that often gets overlooked. As for Corsola, well, not only did I adore it in the anime under the ownership of Misty, but when Pokemon Sun and Moon was released, this Pokemon grew on me quite a lot more after its rivalry with Mareanie became a thing. I like both of these Pokemon a lot, and they deserved to make it onto this list. Electrifying its way to the number 8 spot on this list is Rotom. Here's a bit of a confession, but when I was younger and I was first playing through Pokemon Platinum, I used to hate Rotom due to it always scaring me in the old chateau. Of course, at this time, I was just small, so I was bound to be scared. It was a scary scene, but growing up, this Pokemon and its many forms have certainly grown on me. Speaking of Rotom's many forms, that's another thing I like about it. I think it's cool how this Pokemon has the power to change its type and appearance just by becoming part of a different machine. It's certainly different and I think it's awesome. One more thing I like about Rotom is its appearance in the Alola anime. Rotom is a great character and one I thought would be cool to talk about on this list. Coming up next is one of my very own Alola team members. Well, from Pokemon Sun at least. It's Wishiwashi. From the moment I first saw this Pokemon in the trailers building up to Sun and Moon's release, I thought, yeah, that's cool. I liked the concept of the schooling ability, and I knew I had to use one on my team. And I did. One thing I've gotta say that lets Wishiwashi down is how it would take a few seconds every time for it to change into the stronger form. It's well worth it with the strength it gains, don't get me wrong there, but there'd be times where I'd refrain from using this Pokemon due to the transformation I knew would take place. With that being said, I don't regret using Wishiwashi on my Sun team because it helped me in a lot of difficult battles, and it is for sure one Pokemon that I adore. Diving into the number 6 spot today is Hawlucha. Yes, we talked about it briefly before, but there was just no way that I couldn't have this Pokemon on this list. I realize I don't always talk about Hawlucha on this channel, but one thing you guys probably don't know about me is that I freaking loved Ash's Hawlucha from the anime. From the episode it debuted, I was hooked, and I thought and still do think that this Pokemon is amazing. A lot of Pokemon fans like this Pokemon because Hawlucha has a connection with wrestling, and that's fine and dandy, but that's not really why I'm a fan. Like I've mentioned, my liking for this Pokemon mostly comes from the Pokemon anime, and I think it's just great. Saying that, I have also used it on a replay copy of Pokemon Y, and it did pretty well on my team. Hawlucha is just all around a good Pokemon. Next up is another Pokemon that was on Ash Ketchum's team, albeit pretty briefly. It's Lapras. This is one fine specimen of a creature. Of course, Lapras is from the original 151, and I can't name one person who dislikes it. It's just a likable Pokemon. There isn't a specific reason why I like Lapras, it's just one of those Pokemon for me. I suppose some of my love for this Pokemon comes from its design, and I remember I liked it so much when I was younger, and I just really wanted one on my team. Of course, I eventually got one, and using it was pretty cool for me. Lapras looks like this badass sea monster Pokemon, and that's something you just gotta love. I like Lapras a lot, and it's for sure a great Pokemon. Coming up next is a Johto Pokemon that a lot of people love. It's Heracross. This beetle Pokemon has been around for a while, and it's a Pokemon that I really like. One reason for my love of Heracross is of course because of the Pokemon anime. In the Johto anime, Ash Ketchum managed to bag himself a Heracross, and it proved to not only be a strong team member, but also a funny one too. And that completely made me adore this Pokemon. I remember whenever Ash would send out this Pokemon with his Bulbasaur, it would chow down on Bulbasaur's bulb, and when I was younger, this was just the funniest thing to me. Ash's Heracross from the anime is a Pokemon that I really like, and it's made one heck of an impression on me because now I love Heracross. A lot of Pika clones have been known not to evolve, and this also applies to one of my favourite Pika clones, Pachirisu. There are a few reasons as to why I like this electric rodent, and the first is down to the Pokemon anime. In the Sinnoh anime, of course, Dawn owned a Pachirisu, and it was a mischievous, funny, and likeable character. As well as Piplup, Dawn's Pachirisu was the comedy gold that made the Sinnoh anime as great as it was. Another thing I liked about Pachirisu is that despite its adorable design, and let's face it, it looking pretty weak, it still kicked ass in the 2014 VGC Masters Championships. That was awesome to see, and it goes to show that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Pachirisu is an amazing Pokemon, and it deserved to make this list. Coming in at the number 2 spot on this list is a new Pokemon from Alola, and it's Mimikyu. From the moment this Pokemon was revealed, everyone seemed to have mixed opinions on it, and me personally, I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of the concept of this Pokemon. However, as time passed, Mimikyu grew on me, and I began to fall in love with this Pokemon. I really like Mimikyu for a number of different reasons. Firstly, I'm a fan of its type combination. It's just a minor thing, but I like that Mimikyu is a Ghost and Fairy type. They're just two types that wouldn't usually go together, but with Mimikyu it works so well. I also like Mimikyu because of Jessie's from the Pokemon anime. It's just really cool. It started off super creepy, but I think it's fair to say that we're all used to it now. Mimikyu is just a great Pokemon, and I had to have it on this list. And finally, coming in at the number 1 spot on this list is Girafarig. I know this seems a bit random due to this Pokemon not being really popular, but that's mostly why I like it. Girafarig is an underrated Pokemon and I think it has an awesome design and deserves to be more talked about. Because Girafarig is pretty underrated, I once decided to use one on a replay copy of Pokemon Soul Silver, and this Pokemon was just freaking great. I loved using Girafarig, and I just wish it was more popular than it is. Another reason why I like Girafarig is because of this guy. Forgot who he is? That's understandable. It's Morrison from Hoenn. He was Ash's late rival in the anime and he used a Girafarig on his team. And I remember seeing it and just thinking this Pokemon looked amazing. Girafarig for me had to take the #1 spot. But anyway guys, with that being said, that pretty much wraps things up for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Also guys, remember that this was just my opinion, so be sure to let me know some of your favourite Pokemon that don't evolve down in the comments. But with that being said, for now, I've been Pokedan, you've been amazing, and I'll see you guys next time.